Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Xayah commentary guide, and as you guys can see up on screen, we already have the build right there. I'm not really going to explain it because this is basically the exact same build as we covered in Xayah's updated complete guide that we did yesterday, and basically it's literally the same build. You basically only insert a Essence Reaver in front. Of course, you no longer go for BF Sword because you do have Essence Reaver as your first item instead, and then of course you go into your Phantom Dancer as well as other items like your Navori, etc. Now obviously you don't want to go for Lethal Tempo because you have your Phantom Dancer and your Navori to keep your W up all of the time, which basically means you're going to have a lot of attack speed already. So going for Lethal Tempo doesn't really make sense because you're going to have too much attack speed and too little attack damage. It's way more worth to take Conqueror for the attack damage as well as the physical vamp. So now, why is this a commentary guide? Why is this not an updated complete guide or a supplementary guide? Well, basically, it's because this build is not good. Long story cut short. I still of course have the video and still of course have this gameplay for you guys to enjoy and see. But I honestly feel that this build on Xayah is not good. Compared to the builds we covered in the updated complete guide as well as the supplementary guide that we did earlier today as well as yesterday. Obviously the BS Sword into Phantom Dancer and Navori build is the best build in my opinion. And you also have the Shield Bow build, which is also viable in certain matches. But with this build, the Essence Reaver build, basically the main plus point of this build is you get an early game power spike when you get Essence Reaver, which is a bigger power spike than you get when you get of course BF Sword or when you get Shield Bow. Essence Reaver is a way bigger power spike because it gives you 22.5% extra damage on your abilities, and Xayah, who is a very ability reliant champion, of course does really well with this extra damage. And because of its shorter cooldown of being 4 seconds and such, whenever you cast your Q, you're gonna get the enhancement, and then you want your enhancement mainly on the E. So when you cast your Q, you auto attack twice, it's gonna be back up again and you have 4 feathers on the ground. You pull it back and it's gonna trigger on your root. Now in the later stages of the game, when you have more attack speed and such, you're gonna get way more than 4 feathers on the ground, and your Essence Reaver passive is definitely gonna be up by the time this actually happens. So because of that, your Essence Reaver passive is gonna actually proc on your E all of the time, whereas the old version where it was 6 seconds, this was not the case. So long story short of it is, Essence Reaver definitely works on Xayah. However, it definitely is not the best build on Xayah. I was just playing a couple of matches of Essence Reaver to test out how good this build is. The answer to that question is, this build works, but it's not an amazing build. Yeah, it's just an okay build. So anyways, as usual, as we mentioned in our past couple of videos, you want to play Xayah into teams that basically like to run at you or really melee. So in this game we have champions like Akali, Thresh, as well as Warwick, who of course are gonna get up close and personal, and we are gonna be able to root them and take advantage of our feather passive. So here we've been talking a lot about Essence Reaver, Xayah, and how Essence Reaver really works, and we haven't really talked about the actual gameplay itself. You can see that in the game we have already died once, which obviously is not really good, but the game has been pretty messy so far. It's kind of expected in a Thresh lane, and also having a lot of action in the jungle. So here you can see we did get the root on, but you can see that we're kind of just losing this fight. We actually have to pop the ulti here just to ensure Ashe doesn't get that final auto to score the kill onto us. And then we're going to actually have to recall. This is a pretty rough game overall, but you can still see how Essence Reaver works. You can still see how Xayah works as a champion. And of course now we're getting the components to Essence Reaver, which obviously these components are kind of not really the best components in the world. Having a Clawfield's Warhammer and a cloak in your inventory at the start of the game is not very ideal compared to other items like Noon Quiver or even the BF Sword, of course. But it's all part of the process to of course get our Essence Reaver first item. Of course, on Essence Reaver Spike is going to be way more stronger than the other builds. Here we nearly catch up the Ashe recalling, and this is not the last time it's going to happen this game. The Ashe is really lucky that she didn't get caught on the recall there, and that's it's going to happen again. Spoiler alert. But anyways, here Ashe recalling allows us to actually pick up a couple of plates. 3 whole plates here with the Thresh, of course not here as well. He finally comes over, but we've collected 3 plates basically for free, and it's kind of poor macro decision making by the enemy team, especially because the Ashe and the Thresh are so ahead. We should never be able to actually get those plates. However, we do want to badly reset for Essence Reaver, but we cannot because the dragon is actually spawning now. So this is a really important thing to note, is that you never want to reset when objectives are up. I see a lot of people do this even in really high elo, where they reset when the objective spawns and they expect their team to wait for them because they have an item purchase. Now, in some sense that does kind of make sense, but in the reality of the situation, your team is not going to wait for you to come back with an item. And even if they are willing to wait for you, the enemy team is not going to wait for you to come back with that item. If they see you backing or they see you missing, they're going to start the objective and your team is going to be at a big disadvantage. So you never really want to do that. You always, of course, want to be there at the objective, even with lesser items. You know, at least you're physically present to help to contest the objective. Now here you can see Karma chasing in onto us. You can see the strength of Xayah with the root. I'm flashing out. Warwick is still chasing me. Again, pulling back with the root allows me to score the double kill onto the Warwick. So already in that fight, you can completely see how Xayah has huge value into these kind of team comps. Karma over chases and you know she dies because you can't chase Xayah. You should never chase a Xayah. Especially if she has her E, and her E cooldown is really low for majority of the game. Even in early game, the cooldown on E is long, but it's not that long, and in late game, it's really low cooldown, especially after you get Navari Quick Blades and your other items. Here, I try to finish off the Ashe, but Thresh's Lantern Shield actually ends up saving the Ashe, and we cannot really finish the kill, which is, of course, a little bit tragic, but, you know, not too much we can do about that. In the meanwhile, of course, there is a fight over at the Rift Herald, but since the enemy bot and support are still in lane, so are we, and we're basically just matching them. Now here I see the next wave coming in. I know that the enemy team has backed, so here I'm just going to push out the wave so that they can lose some minions under the tower, and I'm able to deny a little bit of farm from the enemy team. You know, every single minion kind of does count. They lose like 2 minions or whatnot, it does actually matter. So here, of course, we're not going to build into our Phantom Dancer Nyx. Now, of course, one of the cons of having Essence Reaver together with Conqueror as your rune is the fact that you don't actually have any attack speed until you reach your Phantom Dancer. We're going to gain a lot of attack speed from that one item. Slight drawback, of course, but you do still get attack speed from the W, so it's not the worst in the world, but of course, it could be better, of course. Now here, Kane's coming in for the gank. Does try to assassinate the Ashe. I come in over here to try to help him burst down the Ashe. We get the recall and the feathers. Here I thought Warwick was going to ult me, which is why I ulted, but turns out he's obviously going for the Kane. I managed to get a root onto Warwick, but with Warwick's attack speed together with the Kraken Slayer, he is able to, of course, out-heal me and out-damage me, and I'm unable to, of course, take him down. Now, arguably, I could have played that better and kited him back a little better. I thought that he would die a lot more easily, but with that huge heal on his Q, unfortunately that was not the case. I kind of underestimated the healing just a little bit, and as a result we pay for it with our life. So if we of course knew what the situation was, we would have of course kited back, not allowed him to actually chomp on us, and we would probably been able to kite him out, and either he would have to run away or he would end up dying to us eventually. So anyways, here now we are back in lane. Obviously the tower is no longer there, so here we're trying to rotate to mid because there's a fight happening at mid, and Ashe is just hitting an ulti onto the Diana here. Unfortunately Diana's already dead. Nami L doesn't actually hit anybody at all, so here the most we can do is to stay under the tower, or you know, just walk up a little bit and just clear waves. Enemy team apparently has backed off by a little bit. Here Thresh tries to come forward. You know, we are forced to pop the ulti so we don't actually get caught out by the enemy team. We still get hit by Karma ulti, but you know, at least we're not in the position where the enemy team can follow up and kill. Small side note is that we do actually have Essence Reaver at this point, so of course with this build you are going to spike on every item. Of course Phantom Dancer for the attack speed, Navari cooldown, and IE of course is going to give you the juicy increase in damage on your crits, and also going to put you at 100% crit. Okay, so now we're of course just going to rotate around the map. Mid lane obviously is a hotly contested tower. Enemy team is trying their best to shove in. Here we're able to actually rotate and pick up a shutdown onto the Warwick because he didn't get caught by the Nami bubble. So overall, you know, we're 4-2 at the moment, kind of the most fed member on our team at this point. And in fact, we're, you know, kind of more fed than the entire enemy team except for the Warwick, who of course is really fed, 7-4 and 7 at this point in the game. has been hopping all around the map and picking up them kills. So here the next dragon is about to spawn in 20 seconds, and of course before the dragon spawns you of course want to recall and pick up your items. In this case I'm just gonna go ahead and pick up the Gluttonous Greaves because I did want a little bit more healing in this game, which I felt was pretty critical because we don't have Bloodthirster in our build of course, so getting a little bit of healing via our boots is kind of the way to go, although Conqueror and of course Hunter Vampirism also gives us that healing that we are after. So here enemy team is trying to enter into our jungle. We're going to have to of course kite back because our team is not really all here yet. We of course have a dead Darius as well as a Diana who is still rotating here. It's really difficult to contest the dragon at this point in time. Obviously because we don't have the manpower to do so. Diana finally actually reaches here and Kayn is actually in the pit. Actually tries to steal the dragon. Doesn't actually manage to do so. Here I actually get ulted by the Warwick. However, Nami does end up hitting the bubble and basically saving my life. Warwick is very low and is forced to ult over the wall to escape with his life. So overall, enemy team picks up the dragon but no casualties on either side. And enemy team already has double dragon, so their dragon stacking is of course online, and we do have to try our best to deny the triple dragon, which is a major win condition when it comes to of course dragons. So here we're just trying to get farm, clear out the Krut cam, we're going to get the buff share, and we're going to recall, pick up more items. In this particular game we have a Warwick and we have a Ashe, so we do want to pick up the QSS to QSS the Warwick's ult and or the Ashe's ult. Even something like a Karma ult or Karma root can of course be QSS'd, so we do want to get that. So here the enemy team is trying to greet for a tier 2 tower. We of course get the recall onto the Warwick and we are able to pick up the kill on him. We get the root onto Ashe, but a Thresh hook is able to kill us. Now look at what, I don't know what that Diana was, but like she kind of just tapped her out and ends up not really doing anything. I thought she would at least be able to kill the Ashe there, but I guess not. Really kind of unfortunate situation here, where basically our team gets aced, and that is yeah, that's no good. But here I've decided to actually pick up the Executioner's Calling early, mainly because the enemy team has a ton of healing. We of course have Akali with the Riftmaker healing. We have of course Bork built on both Ashe as well as Warwick. Warwick has his Q and Ashe also has a shield bow, so a ton of healing on the enemy team, and we do want to have that healing reduction. It's going to be quite critical you know, in certain fights, so we do of course want to have that. So here, honestly, there's nothing too much to do. Most of the jungle camps are down. You know, there's nothing really to fight over except Baron, but even though their team is kind of ahead, they're not really strong enough to do Baron just like that. Sometimes we don't, me and Kayn don't show up on the opposite side of the map together. You know, it's really hard for them to really just do Baron. Speaking of which, Kayn is actually on the opposite side of the map compared to Baron, and he did get a pick onto Ashe, but the whole enemy team appears to be rotating up to kind of cut him off. Thankfully, he's a Kayn, he can just walk through walls and just walk away. Here, we can see Warwick trying to push in. Here you can see he's going for me. I use the Unstoppable to prevent myself from being feared. I do get suppressed, but I'm going to actually ult to prevent him from killing me. I'm going to root him under the tower. He does get the kill on me, but I do end up trading 1-for-1 with the Warwick, which at the end of the day is not really the worst in the world. He is the most fed member of the enemy team at 13k gold. So trading, you know, 1-for-1 with the Warwick, in my opinion, is completely fine, considering I'm, you know, at less than 10k gold at this point. So I think that's an alright trade. He's also the jungle and Baron is up, so okay trade. Thresh is actually doing extremely well this game. He is, of course, the support, building full tank, 3 armor items, but he's at 10k gold, which is like just as much gold as me and Kayn. In fact, he has more gold than me and Kayn, so he's really fed as well. Of course, we do want to get a shutdown onto Thresh, but really that's really difficult considering how tanky he is, and almost all of our team is physical damage except the Diana, who is not really doing the best at the moment. Kind of in dire straits for our team at this point. We're slowly, you know, losing our grip on the game, and the enemy team is now 5k gold ahead of us. Not an insurmountable lead, but we're slowly kind of getting choked out of the game, and you can see that fights are not really going too well for us. But in my opinion, Xayah skills relatively well, and also it's really easy for enemy teams to make a mistake and overcommit onto Xayah, and that basically in the late game, overcommitting onto a Xayah and getting rooted and killed, you know, can be the difference between a win and a loss. For that, Xayah is one of those champs like like Xayah, Samira, and like maybe even the late game Kaisa and Tristana, that even though you're not really winning, sometimes at the later stages of the game that can of course change just with one good fight. Now here, speaking of which, Ash just face checks and just ints by walking into our jungle, so we get a free pick there, and now with the dragon spawning, we have an advantage with the enemy ADC dead. Of course, the enemy team is still insanely ahead of us. Diana goes in, just dies instantly basically. I ulti to prevent Akali from killing me, and here we get a huge root onto the Warwick. We get the kill onto the Warwick, and now we're on the chase for Thresh and Karma. Of course, the rest of us are not really in the best situation in the world. I'm attacking blue buff to actually lifesteal and help the king get it faster. And here we're gonna go over to the dragon pit and try to secure the dragon. Of course, we do have our jungle, whereas the enemy team does not. We simply have to avoid the damage from Karma as well as Thresh, and we should be golden. Here Thresh tries to come in. I'm gonna get the root in onto him. I'm gonna try to attack these champions. Of course, we're using the QSS to prevent ourselves from getting rooted by the Karma. And here I'm trying my best to kite the Thresh, but you can see I'm doing only 81 damage per auto onto the Thresh. Here, I'm trying to get the shutdown, but unfortunately for me, Kayn ends up getting the shutdown instead, which is really, really tragic. I believe that's almost a 1k shutdown, and even still, he doesn't even let me take the Gromp, although I do manage to secure it eventually. So here, we're gonna back, and of course we are trying to get our Navori Quick Blades, but we don't quite have enough gold to get that purchase as of yet. So instead, we're gonna of course have to of course recall and just pick up the cloak, and now we're gonna head back out. Akali's kind of semi getting a catch onto the Diana. Here, Kayn actually manages to land all of the spells onto the Akali while invisible, which is beautiful, and we end up killing Akali when she comes out in invisibility. So here you can see the kind of the tide of the game is slowly starting to turn as the enemy team is starting to make mistakes, and we're starting to find free picks here and there. Free pick onto the Ashe just now, and then onto the Akali, and now onto the Warwick, who is overextended and simply gets caught out. This happens of course really often in solo queue, and is the main reason why I don't really like to surrender games. I never really do actually. And here, now that we have the enemy jungle dead, we also have Akali dead. This is actually a free Baron. It's really difficult for any team to contest. Here they're trying to enter the area. Thresh hits a relatively nice hook. And here I almost get one shot by Karma here. I'm gonna just flash out of the pit because I have no HP to actually fight at all. And I definitely want to of course, just back. Here we're gonna take a look at what happens in the fight here. Kayn as well as Darius do manage to get the kill onto the Karma. However, Nami and Diana did actually end up dying, unfortunately. Here Kayn is trying to chase down the Thresh, but I don't really know why, because he's not going to be able to kill the Thresh anyways, because Thresh is way too tanky. Instead, he just donates his life over to Akali, gives over his shutdown, and of course, doesn't really make sense there. So question mark emote from me, and here I'm just going to go over to the top lane and just clear out the wave. And the Elder Dragon is of course going to come up in 15 seconds, and because of the fact that our King just inted right there and died, he's now 30 seconds away from spawning, which basically means that the enemy team is going to get a free Elder Dragon if they rush the Elder Dragon, which is absolutely horrendous. So we're going to see what we can do about the situation as Xayah, because one of the other strengths of Xayah is the fact that when the enemy team is in the pit and they're trying to attack the dragon, if you attack them and lay down the feathers, you can actually end up doing insane amounts of damage as Darius gets picked for free. So now we're basically 3v5 here. Enemy team trying to walk up into us. Here you can see we actually managed to get a kill onto Warwick, which is huge, kind of prevents them from doing the Elder Dragon. Here we're going to try to focus the Karma instead. We're going to try to hit whoever we can, get the root down. We're going to go untargetable and try our best to kill whoever we can. Here we get the recall and kill both the Karma as well as the Ashe. Huge fight from me, and only Akali is left alive with a blinking health bar. Now Kayn here trolls again. Instead of just going for the Elder Dragon, he's hunting for the Akali. I have no idea why. Akali's not even there. She's somewhere in the top lane area. But here, as you guys can see, off of that huge team fight, it's not really even a team fight actually. It's sort of like 3 of us versus the 5 of them. But whatever it is, we basically just win it. And off of that, we can secure the Elder Dragon. We also secure our Navori Quick Blades, as well as our, of course, our Mole Reminder, which we did decide to go for because Thresh was becoming unkillable, and we had no choice but to go for that instead. And yeah, so this is basically a huge fight from Xayah. Honestly, I didn't expect that to happen. I expected us to just lose Elder Dragon and lose the game. But what happened there is Warwick once again inted by ulting the Diana, who's like, at this point she's 4 and 11. Why are you even ulting her? Ends up becoming a free kill for me. And here Warwick once again overextends, and we get the kill onto Warwick. And off of the jungler's death, we are able to outplay and kill Karma and Ashe together and secure the Elder Dragon. Now with the Elder Dragon, we are at such a significant advantage here. We are going to be able to put some pressure down. Now, the issue is that Kayn once again is dead, and we kind of need our team to be pushing and to put pressure. So here you can see Darius has pushed in the bot lane, but he's rotating mid at the current moment. I think he should have just continued pushing bot while the rest of us go ahead and push mid. Now we're 4-man mid, which is not very ideal. We kind of want someone on the side lane. But anyways, using our brute force, we're just gonna shove down this tower. Darius thankfully has gone back to push the other lanes. Here I'm trying to just kite back. Really hard for the enemy team to fight into a Xayah, of course. Here Diana out preemptively, but Akali doesn't actually jump in. Here we're gonna try our best to lay down feathers and get down some roots if we can. Here whole enemy team ends up chasing me. Here you can see what I do here. I ulti, use my pull back to get the root and get the execute. Now here Karma and Thresh nowhere to run, basically scoring a triple kill at this point. And yeah, you can see Xayah late game is absolutely insane, especially when you can outplay the enemy. Of course, using your kiting and using, of course, your ulti. Speaking of outplaying, I can't outplay a Warwick ulti. I tried to QSS and run away, but I end up just basically just dying straight up. Thankfully, with that triple kill, I've secured my team enough of an advantage to allow the Darius to secure the mid lane inhib. However, we're not going to be able to end because I died there, so that was kind of, it could have been a game-losing mistake. But Darius thankfully can still secure the other tower, so with 2 inhibs down, we are now at a significant advantage, and we do have a 5k goal lead over the enemy team at this point in time. Now Darius, of course, is just picking up a couple of minions, but he does have to back off because, of course, the enemy team is, of course, starting to respawn, and they're going to catch him out if he does not. So now me and Kayn are going to be up pretty soon, so Baron is also up. So with like 3 super minion waves pushing into the enemy team, could be a good time to, of course, go for Baron, because enemy team has to deal with the super minion waves, which is going to be a little bit of a challenge for them to do. So it could be time for us to simply just try to force a Baron, and if they respond to us, the minions are going to, of course, deal major damage to their base, and otherwise, we're going to get a free Baron. So here we can see Warwick dealing with the minions on the opposite side of the map, which again looks like a free Baron to me. So we're going to quickly try to do Baron as quickly as possible. Warwick is still making his way down here. Ashe is still in the mid lane now. It looks like Thresh, as well as the rest of the gang, is privy to our Baron, but no real answer that they can really muster, because Warwick and Ashe are not, not on the same page as them. Here Warwick gets caught again. And then everybody else on their team basically gets caught. Here I'm stuck in the middle of everybody. I'm just gonna ulti and just run away. Let my team finish up the job, pick up the honey fruit, and of course just push in the lane. And with the Baron buff, and with the whole enemy team dead except for the Akali, this should be a very easy end for us. So here we're just gonna march in with the minions, 5-man strong, and just end the game. But before we do that, why not just kill the Akali one last time to pad the stats? And there we have it. That is the Essence Reaver build on Xayah. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.